welcome back to my channel. My name is Liz, and today we're starting a new series on my YouTube channel called Tea Time Tuesdays. Today I have a cup of jasmine green tea, and I'm going to be talking to you about some of my favorite books that I read so many times growing up. Alright, to start with is a book called Dealing with Dragons by Patricia C. Reed. This is a book about a princess who doesn't want to be a princess, leaves her kingdom, and finds herself a dragon. Meet Princess Cimarine, a princess who refuses to be proper. She's everything a princess is not supposed to be: headstrong, tomboyish, smart, and bored. So bored that she runs away to live with a dragon, and not just any dragon, but Kazul, one of the most powerful and dangerous dragons around. Of course, Cimarine has a way of hooking up with dangerous characters, and soon she's coping with a witch, a djinn, a death-dealing talking bird, a stone prince, and some very oily wizards. If this princess ran away to find some excitement, it looks like she's found plenty. This is a book that I first read, I think, in elementary school. And it's about 200-ish pages. It's a pretty quick read for me. And even as an adult, I still love this book. I really recommend picking this book up. It is sassy and clever, and the story itself is really, really entertaining. There are 4 books in this series, and I love all of them. All of them. I really, really seriously recommend reading it. The second book that I grew up reading over and over and over again, as you might be able to tell from it, is The Two Princesses of Braemar by Dale Carson Levine. This book, I mean, like, I've read this book a lot. I think I also picked this one up in elementary school, but I've read this over and over and over again. The synopsis of this reads: a kingdom beset by monsters, a disease that weakens and destroys, an epic poem and a hero of long ago, a story of danger and desperation. The two princesses of Braemar could not be any more different. Princess Addie is fearful and shy. Her deepest wish is for safety. Princess Merrill is bold and brave. Her deepest wish is to save the kingdom of Braemar. They are sisters, and they mean the world to each other. Then disaster strikes, and Addie, terrified and unprepared, sets out on a perilous quest. In her path are the monsters of Braemar: ogres, specters, griffins, and dragons. Addie must battle them, but time is running out, and the sisters' lives, and Braemar's fate, hang in the balance. This book is an incredible tale of sisters, and having my own little sister and many, many women in my life that I can call sisters, this book is such a powerful story of sisterhood and what you would do to save your family. This story is definitely one that is happy sad, and you're never quite sure, honestly, what the ending is going to be like. It really keeps you on the edge until the very end. It is very, very good. It is geared toward more younger audiences, so it is quite a quick read, but it's so good. And I've read this as an adult still, and it is still a wonderful story. I do recommend reading it and checking it out. The next book I have is actually by a local author, and I picked this book up at a expo that I went to when I was in middle school. And that is Girlwood by Claire Dean. This book is unlike any of the other books on this list because this is not a fantasy book. This is very much based in realism with some like childhood flourishes and fancy, but it is real and it is very deep in a very strange way. This is, again, a story about sisters, a story about family, and it's a story that really dramatically shaped me as an adult. It reads: deep in the woods, surrounded by a wall of thorns, is a grove of larch trees called Girlwood. Few know how to find it. Only Baba, an old grandmother who understands the power hidden within wild plants. And Bree, a reckless teenager who runs away from home one dark autumn night. And Polly, the younger sister, whom Baba loves and Bree leaves. Polly, who can see the light and colors of all living things. Girlwood, a place where fairies live and wolves prowl. A place where Polly and her friends can build their own shelter and control their own fire. But can Polly and the girls of Girlwood save Polly's sister Bree? Can they save the Grove from developers? Can they save the magic within themselves? In Girlwood, anything is possible. This book is single-handedly responsible for my decade-long fascination with plants. At the beginning of each of the chapters is a biography on a plant that can be found in the mountains and the wilds of Idaho. And I became so fascinated by these plants that I went on in high school to study plant science, and over half of my high school credits were in science and in plant science. That's the wonderful thing about being based in Idaho, is that you can study agriculture and stuff. One of the plants they talk about is Angelica. Legend says Angelica got its name when an angel offered it as a cure for the plague, evil spells, and enchantments. The leaves are an ingredient in gin, while the plant relieves cramping and other disorders of the female reproductive tract. Beware. It's difficult to distinguish from water hemlock, which can be fatal within 15 minutes of ingestion. This is a really, really, really awesome story, and I am so lucky that I happened to catch this out of the corner of my eye at that expo, because this book really shaped my life. The final book that I'm going to talk to you about is Aragon by Christopher Paolini. This book, I'm not going to take the dust jacket off because I've read this book too many times. I've never in my life read a book as many times as I've read Aragon. And even, I'm not even joking about this, dozens of reads later, this book is still fascinating and compelling and full of adventure and incredibly real characters. Like, you can very much feel that these are persons. Christopher Paolini created a world that I think is as rich and fascinating as the Lord of the Rings series, which this series has often been compared to. There are 4 books in this series, similar to Dealing with Dragons, and this book series created in me a love of adventure, a love of travel, a love of learning, a love of experience, of just different situations, good and bad, can teach you something. In the special edition, I have a book 2, Eldest. There's this really fascinating section that talks about how Paolini created the languages used by the different races in this series, and offers a glossary translating different parts of the Dwarven language and the ancient language, which is the language of the elves, into English so you know what is being said versus it just being translated in story. It's really, really, really incredible. He created the languages on his own. A lot of the art was his own art. And, I mean, this book is amazing. I definitely recommend reading the series. Unlike the other ones, this book is a book that anyone can enjoy. I've read this to younger children that really wanted a really fun adventure. I've had adults that have picked this up and fell in love with it. Anyone can read this. Anyone can find enjoyment in it. And there are life lessons that it teaches that are incredible and valuable and applicable in our modern mundane lives. I definitely recommend reading it. So there you have the 4 books that I believe shaped me the most growing up, and maybe I'll do another installment in this series later of a couple more books that were so vital for my childhood and for growing up. But Eridon, Girlwood, The Princesses of Bramar, and Dealing with Dragons, find them at your library. Find them on Amazon. I will link to them below. Read them. Comment below if you've read any of these books before, or if you have any reading suggestions for me, bonus points for fantasy novels, and historical fiction. Like, yeah. I hope that this video finds you happy and healthy, and if you're not healthy, then I hope that you are healing. Take care, lots of love.